Housing starts in Canada have dropped 16% in August. I've been following the housing numbers pretty closely over the past year, and the latest data from CMHC really sticks out. In August, Canadian housing starts fell 16% compared to July. It's a pretty significant slowdown in new construction at a time when our population is still growing rapidly despite all the temporary students and all that numbers dropping. We're still getting immigrants into Canada. So for anyone who's not immersed in real estate, housing starts pretty much means the number of new residential construction projects that break ground in a month. It's one of the clearest indicators of how healthy our housing pipeline is. When that number goes down, it usually means fewer homes will be completed in the future. It's actually a forward-looking metric. That puts even more pressure on affordability. So from my perspective here, boots on the ground in Ontario, there are a few reasons that this is happening. Obviously, financing costs are the big one. Builders have to borrow heavily to fund projects. And when the interest rates are where they are right now, it's much harder to pencil and make the math work. On top of that, municipal fees and development charges can add tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars per unit. And then there are obviously the long permit times, the zoning processes. Projects can sit in limbo for years, which ties up capital, increasing carrying costs, and often kills investor confidence before shovels even hit the ground. Now, the federal government has obviously been trying to intervene with incentive funds and billions promised to accelerate construction, which is encouraging on paper. And there could be possible bailouts happening to developers now or possibly in the future, which is something I've mentioned before. But of course, money alone doesn't fix underlying cost structures, right? If provinces and cities don't cooperate on zoning, fees, and timelines, cash won't translate into actual homes being built. And when you layer record immigration and population growth that we've seen over the last few years on top of all that, demand keeps running ahead of supply. Well, there's obviously a lot of opinions on how we can fix this. Some people say that government should slash red tape, speed up approvals, reduce fees. That's kind of what I believe in. Others argue municipalities legitimately need to pay those fees to pay for the infrastructure, the roads, transit, water, and schools that new development requires, because new development does require a lot of infrastructure to be built around it. And there's obviously frustration from CMHC itself. For example, they recently increased premiums on their MLI Select program, which makes financing multi-unit housing more expensive at the exact moment that we need more supply. So looking at this as someone who obviously works in the field, this 16% drop in housing starts is a warning sign. We desperately need more housing supply, but right now the math for builders doesn't work at all. And we're seeing that in the data right now. When developers pull back, shortages get worse over time and affordability doesn't improve. Unless all levels of government coordinate properly to tackle the real costs of building housing, not just throw money at the problem. It's like they just think throwing more money and actual more debt, because the governments are running massive deficits right now. They think just throwing money at it is going to work. We're just going to keep seeing these kinds of declines if nothing radical changes here. And in fact, what could happen is if housing starts keep dropping, we could see that plants the seeds of another massive housing price rise over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years. If housing starts remain low, that means there's less housing to go around for people, right? Obviously, the people who are renting, some of those people are going to buy a home. There's going to be less supply of homes to purchase for those people. So it's going to increase possible rents in the future. It's going to increase prices in the future, which is going to make home affordability even worse in 10 years from now. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's possible if housing starts keep dropping, because we need that supply to just maintain the ability for people to just absorb that housing, if that makes sense. So I'm curious to know what you guys think of this. It is not a very good number to see. And we could see a lot of developers start really going under, just totally going bankrupt because of this. Because if they don't build, then they're not really doing what they do. They're not making money, and they're not paying their construction workers. And these construction workers are going to get laid off. And that's going to translate into the unemployment rate. We're going to see higher numbers there. So this is concerning to me. It's not a good thing to see housing starts drop by 16% compared to the previous month at all. It's actually very, very concerning. So let me know what you guys think of this. Just another day in Canadian real estate. Let me know.